Check, check. Am I have to lean over? Do I need to lean over? Okay. Check, check, check. Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Do I have to lean over? Can I stand up straight? Can you, Jeff Hildebrand? Jeff Hildebrand, can you hear me in the back? You sure I don't need to lean over, Matt? Can you guys hear me in the back without me leaning over? Okay? I don't lean. Everybody look here. I'm going to take a little picture here to make sure documenting all of you are here for this great meeting today. There we go. It's called a pano. It's called a pano. All right. I know I'm a nerd. Hey, so great to have everybody here today. Man, are we not blessed to be here and not be sitting in a hospital somewhere on our deathbed? We're here right here enjoying life. Some of the teams you follow may not be doing great. Some of you may be having teams that are doing outstanding. But you're here because we love football. We can't wait to hear from Houston Nutt. Houston's is going to have this place so fired up here shortly. We're so great to have you back, Houston, since 2003. Oh, the pressure's on you, man. Pressure's on you. I've been talking about it since 6 o'clock this morning. Hey, a couple things real quick. First of all, you know, we have members who come from all over. But I want to recognize 4 guys, and I know there's some ladies that sometimes come, but Our longest driving members that come every week. They make about 95% of the meetings. Jim, Gary, Paul, and Roger. They come every Monday. From where, Houston? Magnolia, Arkansas. You four guys raise up 2.5 hours. You four guys stand up. Come on, stand up. How about that? 2.5 hours to be here at the Touchdown Club. So let me just tell you, all you folks complaining about the parking garage, hush and talk to those folks over there. Also, just got this in, Mark Richt, who did such a great job here at the Touchdown Club. Would you all agree? Was he not outstanding? What a fine guy, great coach. Just apparently suffered a heart attack. So I don't know what the details are, but apparently put that out. You know, sometimes those are milder than strong, but hopefully this is not a bad one. But he suffered that. So, Gary, when you come up here, Gary Underwood, come on up, lead us in a word of prayer. Let's think about Mark Richt. Houston, we were really impressed with him. What a fine guy. I know you coached against him for many years, just a class individual as well as a great coach. Gary?
Thank you, buddy. Coach, great to have you with us today. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we want to just take this opportunity to thank you for all the wonderful blessings that you give to us and our families, the way you provide for us every need that we have. Lord, we especially ask you to have your hand on Coach Richt and his family, those that are ministering and taking care of him. Lord, we thank you for his life and his testimony. Use us today in your service. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right. I want to remind everybody to mute your phones. You can watch us online. Text somebody. If they can't be here, they can watch us on Facebook Live. They can go to lrtouchdown.com and watch it live. They can listen to it on 103.7 The Buzz live, but make sure to mute your phones. You know what? I completely forgot. I got the nicest note, Houston, from Bill Snyder that wrote the club a note. And I'm mad at myself. I'll bring it next week. But, man, Bill Snyder, what a class act he is, Houston. Wrote a note just complimenting all of you on what an impressive group you are. And then that follows, Houston, what Mark Richt said one of the finest touchdown clubs he's ever been to. So you guys, hope you take pride in the fact that's what these coaches and former players are saying about you. Did you enjoy Bill Montgomery last week? Did Bill Montgomery not do a great job? Great to see all those guys on the 69 team honored at Fayetteville this past weekend. And I thought Bill put it out there, put his feelings out there, so that was great. Next week now, of course, you got Houston today. Next week, Nathan Brown from UCA, and they won this past weekend. So our club, it's not a Razorback club. It's a Arkansas high school and college football club. So let's support Nathan Brown, because he's really an impressive young man. So let's get here and support him next week here at the Touchdown Club. I do want to thank our sponsors, Twin City Limousine, Greg Hatcher, and Papa, for the great work they do each week in getting our speakers here when need be. CJRW, Mark Raines, Dan Sawyer, Darren Gray, they're doing great work, getting ready to crank up support the Cliff Harris Award, which I'm going to mention something here in just a second. But if you have any advertising, marketing needs, please go to the CJRW. 103.7 The Buzz, Stephen Henry Johnson, Justin Akery, Wes Moore, Tommy, Roger, and RJ. Great to have Tommy in attendance today with his sister Vicky, and Roger here and RJ. These guys support the Touchdown Club, and they're my brothers, and I appreciate them. Arkansas Urology. I was up at Arkansas State this weekend and got a chance to be around Tim Langford. You ought to see the facilities at Arkansas State. They are breathtaking, and Tim Langford has been a big part of that. And, of course, Arkansas Urology has, too. 17 physicians, 9 locations. Please, guys, go get yourself checked. It's very important. War Memorial Stadium. That's been a debate this last week or two about that game against Missouri and about how important it is that Little Rock show up for that game. Now, by the time we get to it, obviously the season may be long gone away and lost from a record standpoint, but it's important that we do the best we can to get as many people as we can there. If we want that one game, we want to prove it. So I do want to thank the staff at War Memorial Stadium for their hard work, and hopefully we can have a big turnout for that game. Farm Bureau, Insurance, Pulaski County, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard, make sure and give those guys a chance to get some of your insurance business. Thank you, Todd. I see you over there. Great product, service, auto, homeowners, boat, health, whatever it is. It's Farm Bureau Insurance of Pulaski County. We appreciate you guys' support. Dairy Queen. Coach, you do Dairy Queen any? Are you an ice cream guy at all?
Without question.
Without question. I like it. Blake Lively, Nelson Lively, Todd Dent, appreciate the support from Dairy Queen. You guys are the best. We appreciate you. Their new location coming up in Greenbrier soon. Simmons Bank Arena. I don't know if you guys noticed, but you see the logo has been transferred on the big screen. You like that? Very clean. Do I pass approval, Jeremy? Listen, Michael Marin is so distressed about Mississippi State right now, he doesn't even come anymore, does he? Eric Church is this Friday night, right? And you got one more suites available. If you're a corporate group that wants to Lisa Sweet. See Jeremy Flynn over there. One more. Simmons Bank Arena. Big Red Stores, I want to thank David, Doug, David Jr., Landon, and Emily, all the folks of the Hendricks family at Big Red's, 40 locations across the state. They're doing great work, Houston. You need to get to know them. They're good folks at Big Red. We appreciate them. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. I know we got Judy Henry here, Charlie Coleman, Gordon Rather. So where's Judy? So this weekend, this is what's amazing. So Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings sponsors the Cliff Harris Award. Where are we at? Right there. So Cliff is interviewed at the big Philadelphia game last night. Then yesterday, our #1 winner, who in 2013 was Pierre Desir, a kid who came to America from Haiti in a boat with his family. Just signed a 2-year, $25 million deal, makes an interception at the end of the game against Houston. He's a starting quarterback. That was done. And then earlier in the day, Charles Davis, who was covering the Rams game versus the Falcons, another one of our Cliff Harris Award winners, Marquis Christian. This is small college defensive player of the year. He mentioned that is a small college defensive player of the year, the Cliff Harris Award. So that award is starting to have some traction as the top small college player in America, just what Cliff Harris does. And so anyway, we couldn't do it without Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. Thank you so much for your support. Crane Automotive, where's my Crane guys? Always great to see you here. Saw Larry over the weekend. If you're looking for a deal on an automobile, please see these guys and tell them you're a member of the Touchdown Club. They'll take great care of you. Thank you to Larry Crane. We appreciate him. The Democrat Gazette, Amanda Copley. Great to have you here, Amanda. Lady Power today at the Democrat Gazette seats. We appreciate you and Wally Hall and your support. We'll have all Arkansas Preps Player of the Week here in just a minute. And lastly, Simmons Bank. Matt Redden and Barry Ledbetter at the head table today. And a great group of Simmons folks. If you're from Simmons here, raise your hand. Our Simmons folks that are here. We love the fact not only do you guys are our presenting sponsor, but you're here every week. And couldn't do it without you guys, and you guys are the key to raising the bar. Our great presenting sponsor. Let's give a big round of applause for all of our great sponsors. Simmons also sponsors the Willie Rofe Award, which we'll get to here soon, for the top high school and college offensive lineman of the year. Do want to thank the Doubletree Hotel. Jeff McClure, you've been great. Thank you so much for all your work, Jeff, and Brent Bailey and Beth Clark. It's great to be here. I know we've been doing some polling. I do hear the food is outstanding here. So, Jeff, you're trending up we have raised the bar in food, Jeff, so thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. Matt Johnson Productions, Dwayne Duncan, who handles all of our photography. Thank you, Dwayne. RJ Hawk Media Solutions, handle that, and helps with our AV. Thank you, RJ. Meredith Scott Hill with CareLink. She volunteers every week to come here, as well as Samantha Montgomery with the AG's office. And Grant Garrett Excavation. Is Betsy here today? Where's Betsy? Raise your hand. Happy birthday, Betsy. How about that? I found that out. Happy birthday, Betsy. Garrett, let's give her a round of applause. But yes. God, you didn't have to tell me that. How about that? Also, Ann Jensen Broadwater. We appreciate you, Ann. And if we could, real quick, I want these people, we don't do this, but Houston, since you're here today, you appreciate homegrown talent. And the reason we're one of the best in America, because we have a group of volunteers that come in, volunteer 2 or 3 hours every Monday to make this club run right. So when I say your name, if you're here, please stand up. Marilyn Miller, Melissa Nelson, Sherry Hall, Carolyn Basil, Jan Owen, Ron Skaggs, Lewis Nally, Lee Danner, please stand. Julie Tabor, Elizabeth Cloxton, Samantha Montgomery, Dawn Davis, Wanda Burrow, Hope Hankins, and then Debbie Wyman, our executive director. All these folks come in and spend 3 hours here volunteering every Monday, led by Debbie Wyman. Let's give them a round of applause, for they do a great job. All right, at this time I do want to recognize our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. His name is Caden Sipe. Come on up, Caden. He's the Harding Academy junior quarterback. Now, last week, Rex, we had the Searcy High School quarterback. So back-to-back players from the city of Searcy. That's right. So Caden, 2 weeks ago, 24-30. You like these numbers, Houston. 24-30 for 280 yards with 6 touchdowns in Harding Academy's 48-6 win over Mountain View. This past week, they beat Melbourne 45-0. I asked Caden what kind of numbers he said. He said, doesn't matter. We ran the ball well this game. They're ranked in the top 10. And I asked their head coach, who was Coach Neil Evans, I said, what can you tell me about Caden Sipe? He said his character exceeds his play on the field. His character exceeds his play on the field. So without further ado, please welcome our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, Caden Sipe, Harding Academy. Here we go, right there.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Great to have Caden's dad, Cody, here today, as well as his head coach, Neil Evans from Harding Academy, and position coach, Kyle Evans. We appreciate both you guys being here. And Ty Duggar, who is a receiver. Where's Ty at? You catch all the passes. And Seth West, who is a buddy. Great to have all you folks from Searcy. You know, one of the things I tell our honoree, I said, are you glad you get to miss a few classes today? He said, oh, yeah. That's one of the advantages of being the player of the week. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover for our weekend recap. Nobody does it better. Please give it up for Rex Nelson, everybody.
Thanks, David. All right, Coach Nutt and I are both going to bring some energy today, right, Coach? Got to bring some energy here. Although, David, I couldn't help but notice that that fake punt looked a lot like a basketball pass. I think they were saying we're ready for basketball to start, too. I tell you, they have no sense of humor anymore, Coach Nutt. None. Nothing works. So that's just a tip to you. Nothing works with this crowd. Now, I'm going to go through this real fast, and here's the way I'm looking at it now. Here's the way I'm looking at it. I'm at an age now, David, where we can be a little bit more reflective, and I love history. So I'm putting all this just to give it to you in a historic context. And when the good old days return, which they will, you can tell your grandkids, I remember when it was the worst it's ever been. And then here's what it was like. See, that's how I'm looking at this. This is a history lesson. Auburn 51, Arkansas 10, an announced crowd of 54,619. Weren't that many actually in the stands. Still, it was the smallest Fayetteville crowd since 2003. Worst crowd there for an SEC game since the stadium was expanded in 2001. Arkansas loses its 15th consecutive SEC game. Now, these are for historic purposes only. Don't get mad at me. Saturday's 41-point margin was the largest during that losing streak. Arkansas has lost 9 consecutive SEC home games. Chad Morris now 0-12 against SEC opponents. All right, history lesson over. Let's move on. Let's move on. Because, get this, and as David says, we cover everything here. We're a football club. The other Arkansas teams that played on Saturday went 7-1 against out-of-state opponents. There's a lot of good football being played in Arkansas. UCA, 5-2 overall, 3-1 in the conference after escaping Natchitoches, Louisiana against winless Northwestern State, 31-30, but it was still a win. And what do you say, Coach? All wins are precious, right? It was a win. The Demons are 0-7, but they scored with 1:30 left, and then they went for 2. Fortunately, the pass attempt for the 2-point conversion was broken up by the Bears. UCA survives. Again, they moved to 3-1 in conference play. Meanwhile, the Great American Conference teams from Arkansas won all 6 games against GAC teams from Oklahoma. Arkansas Tech even got its first win of the season. Let's hear it for the Wonder Boys. Ouachita is 7-0 now, following a 42-14 victory over 3-4 Oklahoma Baptist, Gary's alma mater, which is probably the best of the Oklahoma teams. Other thing, I wore my Ouachita shirt today because they've got a great basketball coach there, by the way. He happens to be sitting down front right here. I'll let you introduce your family later, but Dennis, it's good to have you here today. That is, by the way, the 23rd consecutive conference victory for the Tigers. 23 straight. Ouachita had 3 running backs, Brockton Brown, T.J. Cole, Shunsey Thomas, who each had 2 rushing touchdowns. They had 6 rushing touchdowns. They led 28-0 at the half. Meanwhile, the team across the street, right on their tail, Henderson goes to 6-1, 48-17 over 1-6 East Central Oklahoma. Henderson has a great quarterback I've been talking about named Richard Stametti. He was 18 of 27 passing, 265 yards, 4 touchdowns. Southern Arkansas got our Magnolia crew, the Mule Riders, also 6-1, following a 49-7 victory over 1-6 Southeastern Oklahoma. With his 63rd victory at the school, Bill Keppel became the all-time winningest coach in SAU history. And so congratulations to him. We old-timers, of course, remember his dad, C.W. Keppel, at Little Rock Hall, that was a legend. The Mule Riders held the Savage Storm to a -3 yards rushing in that game. And Harding is also 6-1. So we got both Harding Academy and Harding University playing good football this year. Harding 6-1, 45-14 over Southwestern Oklahoma, which fell to 2-5. Bison's had, get this, 504 rushing yards in that game. On 68 carries, they led 31-0 at halftime. You remember what I said about that boll weevil last week too, don't you? UAM goes to 5-2. 31-28 over 2-5 Southern Nazarene. Southern Nazarene led 20-7 at the half in that game, but the boll weevils come back and finally take the lead in the third quarter and hang on to win. And as I said, Arkansas Tech now 1-6. Wonder Boys get their first victory of the season, 21-14 over 2-5 Northwestern Oklahoma. That score was tied 7-7 in a defensive struggle after 3 quarters. The Wonder Boys then get a 55-yard fumble recovery. The defense gets it done to take the lead. So you've got a bunch of people at the top of the GAC with 4 games left, and it's going to be fun. Ouachita is 7-0. Harding, Henderson, and SAU are all 6-1. UAM 5-2, so 5 teams up there bunched together, and Tech 1-6 in the 12-team conference. Our only other loser other than the Razorbacks in the state on Saturday was Hendricks. They lost 37-34 in overtime to Center College to fall to 4-2 overall. They are 2-2 in conference. All right, on to the SEC. Alabama 35, Tennessee 13. As you know, Tua Tagovailoa went out with an injury in the second quarter. He will not play against the Hogs on Saturday. They're going to give him some time to get ready for that LSU game. They did some surgery. It was minor surgery on his ankle yesterday. So he'll have this week off. They've got an open date then. So he'll have 3 weeks to get ready for LSU. Tied 7-0, 4-0 in the SEC. Tennessee struggling, although they played pretty well Saturday, 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the SEC. LSU moves to 7-0, 3-0 in conference, 36-13 over Mississippi State in Starkville. State drops to 3-4 overall, 1-3 in the conference. Joe Burrow threw for 327 yards and 4 touchdowns. That breaks the LSU season record with 29 touchdown passes. Broke the season record at the school with 5 games still left in the regular season. Amazing. Burrow was 25 of 32 passing. LSU had 415 yards of offense in that game. Georgia goes to 6-1, 3-1 in the conference, 21-0, shut out of Kentucky in Athens. It was played in a driving rainstorm, if you saw it. That tropical storm moved right through Athens. In fact, the weather was so bad, the score was 0-0 in the third quarter. Kentucky falls to 3-4. They're 1-4 in the conference. Florida 7-1, 4-1 in the conference. 38-27 over South Carolina and Columbia. South Carolina falls to 3-4 and 2-3, but had a 20-17 lead in the third quarter. They certainly gave Florida a scare just a week, you remember, after South Carolina had upset Georgia between the hedges in Athens. And Vanderbilt gets its first conference victory. I was happy to see that. 21-14 over a ranked Missouri team. Vanderbilt 2-5 now, 1-3 in the conference. Missouri falls to 5-2 and 2-1. A 5-game winning streak came to an end for the Tigers. Kelly Bryant was sacked 3 times in that game, so a big win for Vanderbilt. Texas A&M, Aggies moved to 4-3, 2-2 in the conference, 24-17 over Ole Miss and Oxford. Rebels are 3-5. The game had 5 lead changes. It had 3 missed field goals, and it had 4 turnovers. It was not that pretty a game, but it was an exciting game. All right, this week, Auburn at LSU. After seeing Auburn Saturday, let's poll the crowd. Anybody thinks Auburn goes into Tiger Stadium and wins that game? Anyone? Not a handful. Put them up. Rest of you going with LSU. There we go. We've also got Mississippi State at Texas A&M, Missouri at Kentucky, South Carolina at Tennessee, and Arkansas at Alabama. And I won't poll you on that one because it's not nice to lie. So I'm not going to force you in that position at all. All right, in the state, we've got Texas State at ASU. As David said, we were all up there Thursday night. Incredible facilities in Jonesboro now. You might consider going up to that one Saturday. Also, Sam, Houston State at UCA. Grambling at UAPB. UAPB's playing well. They're 5-2. And think about how good that battle of the bands will be at halftime. I think that's where I'm going on Saturday afternoon, since Ouachita's a Thursday game. Wayland Baptist at Lyon also. So games in Jonesboro, Conway, Pine Bluff, and Batesville. Get out and see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
I just leaned over to you and I said, you you said the last time we beat Alabama, and I said, are you the last guy that beat Alabama at Arkansas? Think so. I said, are you the last guy that beat Nick Saban? Yes. All right. Just to make sure my facts are straight. All right. Yes. Hey, you dang straight. It's worth a round of applause. Come on. A couple of special guests I want to recognize. I want to say thank you to Bob Fellman and Chuck Talapic over at Simmons. Thank you guys for helping out and some things behind the scenes. Appreciate you. You're great guys. A few folks who've never been here before. Heron Hickenbotham, who's a good friend of Houston. Heron, we're so great to have you here today. And also Mark Evans from Rock Creek Church. We have a lot of folks here that have never been. I know a lot of folks who are working on my house. God bless you. We're going to get there with your help. Just hang in there with me. Great to have you here. I did want to mention two other folks. One is the oldest living Razorback quarterback. And he's been coming to our meetings off and on for years now. He's as good as guys you'll ever meet. But Rex, this gentleman, led her for the Razorbacks, 1955, 1956, 1957. And we appreciate him. He's a class act. You talk about a warrior. Let's welcome the oldest living Razorback quarterback. I think he's still in his 50s, but he's actually 84 years old. Don Christian. Where's Don at? Stand up, Don. Where you at, Don? Where you at? Where you at? There he is right here. He's right here. He's still got a few snaps in him. He's still got a few snaps in him. And also, you guys know I do this stuff for free here at the Touchdown Club for years, and all this stuff I do, I wouldn't be here if not for a great mom and dad, who my mom has moved to Little Rock, and so grateful to have her here every day where I can see her and talk to her, and she's at every Touchdown Club meeting. And I also have my father here today, Harold Basil. Please welcome him, Harold Basil, my dad, Pops. Great guy. Nobody loves the Razorbacks more than him. He don't want to hear any. When I found out that Houston was going to be here, he said, oh, I'm so glad. Because he knows how positive Houston is. But I'm telling you, I am blessed. I'm an only child. Blessed. Very blessed. All right. Great to have everybody here. Now it's time for the show. So Sully's going to introduce Coach Nutt with video, and I want you to pay attention, because there's some fun stuff in this video, and then we're going to get Houston up here, and we're going to have some fun. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to the screens for our introduction.
Today's speaker was voted SEC Coach of the Year 3 times. We go back to December 1997. Houston Nutt lands his dream job.
This has been my dream. Stand up here in front of you with a Razorback.
He would pump some life into a proud program that had gone to only 2 bowl games in the previous 8 years.
There's a lot of lions, tigers, and bears, but there ain't but one Razorback. Not but one. All I want you to do tonight is play your best. Don't worry about making a mistake.
Houston's 10-year run at Arkansas included 3 West Division titles, 4 seasons of 9 wins or more, 3 Cotton Bowl appearances, and many incredible moments.
Poitras in motion. Sterner, play action. Looking, pumps, throws down the middle. Touchdown, Arkansas!
Jones looking. Jones now throwing to the end zone, and it is complete! Yeah! I can't believe it!
Houston also won 2 Cotton Bowls at Ole Miss. His overall head coaching record, 129-96. Please welcome a hometown hero, the pride of Little Rock Central, former Razorback head coach Houston Nutt.
All right, here we go. Last time you were here, 2013, had a packed house then. And how's it feel to make you come back and see another packed house?
It's good. I really appreciate it. Starts right there with my mom, though. Just like you mentioned your dad and mom a while ago, starts with my mom.
Imogene Nutt, let's welcome her, please. Miss Nutt.
My brother Dennis is here. Rex mentioned he's the head basketball coach. I appreciate David Sharp. His boss is here. Thanks for hiring Dennis. Appreciate that. And their football team's rolling. Dennis, you got to get it going.
Yeah.
Football. Yeah. My cousin Kenny and Leslie are here from Fordyce, Arkansas. Appreciate them coming. And Mike Beaumont worked with me for a long time at Arkansas and Ole Miss as a football operation. He's now the athletic director at Fort Smith. Glad he's here. I got a couple of teammates here that I played Little Rock Central High School football with. David Hamilton and Emmanuel Tarbert are here. Appreciate them coming.
Awesome.
I also worked with a man by the name of Bill Shimmick. He coached guys like Billy Sims. He recruited him, coached him. Coached David Overstreet at Oklahoma. Then I got the privilege to work with him at Oklahoma State, and he coached a guy like Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas, two pretty good ones, and taught me a lot about recruiting. I'm glad he's here. He's here with his son, Kyle. Stand up there,
awesome.
Two guys
Thank you,
right
Coach.
there.
Great
Bill
to have
Shimmick
you.
and Kyle.
Great to have you.
And I can't forget about this guy down here at the end. I don't know who else is here, but I know I have two players here. Grant Garrett, he's a welcome sight. The first meeting I had, he was sitting in the first row. He's a center. You got to be strong in the middle. Thank you. But more importantly, he has a beautiful wife that takes care of him, Betsy. And Sasha Lancaster's here. He's sitting right there. And if any other players are here, who else I have? Butu. Sam, I'll let you Butu.
All right,
nobody
Sam.
wanted Butu but me. He's only 5'9", but he can tackle with anybody.
He
Thanks
sure
for
could.
coming, Sam.
He sure could. So how nice is it when you come back and to see all the love that you have here? Because your story about your family and your dad and your mom and your brothers, it's a historical deal here in Arkansas.
Well, it is, and it's a privilege. I love Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised, and starts with mom and dad. Had three great brothers, still have them, and we had the greatest days. We lived 3 blocks from the Arkansas School for the Deaf. And got to go to Little Rock Central, as we mentioned. But we had the best childhoods. And, you know, when I got into coaching, I feel sorry, really, for a lot of my players that didn't have what I had growing up, a mother and father and brothers. And we didn't have iPads. We had ball. We had asphalt. And we had dirt grounds and tackle football. And now Mom made sure we got our phonics right, ABCs and all that, English, and school, which we sometimes would try to put to the side. We couldn't do that because she was the English teacher for 33 years at Arkansas School for the Deaf. But the Arkansas Deaf School playgrounds were phenomenal because I don't know if you realize there's only one deaf school in each state, and they leave home at the age of 4. Whether you're Native American, African American, white, black, skin tone meant nothing as long as you could sign. If you could sign, you were in the family. And to me, that's what it's all about, and that's what makes football so great, coming back home to people like this. I see Bob Russell. He was our car dealer. He was phenomenal to my wife, Diana. Just great people.
You know, you're here at a good time because you're a very positive, uplifting person. Have you guys heard him on 103.7 The Buzz every week? He's been doing that last couple of years, and it is, yeah, let's give it up. It's a great segment that we have. And golly, I guess we've been doing that 3 or 4 years, and thanks to Southern Structural Solutions over there for that sponsorship. But people are down. They're struggling. This is the lowest the program's ever been in the 100-plus year history. Give everybody some hope. Talk about some hope.
Well, you're in the toughest conference in America. The SEC West. I'm talking about the SEC West. I'm not talking about the SEC. I'm talking about the SEC West. And it's the toughest conference in America. And you know, these are down times, and to me, though, there's always hope, and it starts within the state, and they need you. You know, they need you. You're what makes it happen. The fans. I can remember having some bad times when we were winning games, and I'm going to get real honest with you right here, David. That it's tough when you're recruiting young men, and you see planes flying over. It's hard. FOIs, you had people really coming after me and my family being threatened and all those things. And you try to keep things together. But I tell you what I love, and Grant Garrett can attest to this, is in the 2007 year, there's nothing stronger than a locker room. You can ask Sam Alajabutu. There's nothing stronger than the team when you shut the door and say, Nobody loves you but your mama and me. Nobody. They don't give us a chance. We're going to Auburn this week. 2002 or 2003, we're going to Auburn. Little bitty guy named Fred Talley. We're playing Coach Tommy Tuberville, who's a good coach. His offensive coordinator is Bobby Petrino. He's a good coach. He's got a defensive coordinator by the name of Gene Chiswick. He's a good coach. Nobody gave us a chance. Nobody. Forgot about one thing. You forgot about an Arkansas Razorback heart. You forgot about their fight. You forgot about young men that are in our locker room that would run through a wall, didn't care what any of the outside noise said. To me, that's what it's about. It's about inside. It's about one heartbeat, everybody fighting together. And you got to fight your way out of it right now. It's not easy.
You know, I was looking at your deal. 10 years you were here at Arkansas. You had a 10-win season in 2006. You had 3 9-win seasons, 8-win season, 7-win season in your 10 years. Plus, you had a lot of great signature wins. A lot of people think, can it ever get back to that? Can you say, yeah, you took us to Atlanta twice. We had Urban Meyer here. Remember Urban Meyer talking about how great of a game that was against your team?
Should have beat him.
I think that's what he was implying. Can this program get back to Atlanta? Can they compete for SEC championships?
They can. They can. It's not easy, but you can. If you look back, you had Bill Montgomery here, 1969 group. If you look at their roster, I know Bruce James was on there from Mississippi, but if you look at the roster, I grew up in that end zone with my cousin Kenny and James and Dennis and Danny and Dick. We'd sit in that end zone and we watch our heroes come down that ramp in War Memorial. Lynn Garner, Cliff Powell, Buschetti. I know all the names, and you can do it. You know, the thing that's hard sometimes, I used to get criticized, hey, Coach, you never have a top 10 recruiting class. Well, you don't know the heart of a Bo Lacey from Newport, Arkansas, a Dan Doty you never heard of from Heber Springs, and you take those guys that are from this state, and you go get a 3-star, or 4-star, or even maybe a 5-star every now and then from Texas, and you put them together, like Bruce James was with Lynn Garner and that group, all of a sudden you got a 69 team that's phenomenal. You got a 1964 team that's phenomenal. If you do research on Arkansas history, if you have the backbone of Arkansas, and you got to cover every inch, and don't worry about the stars. Go get the best players that are tough, that will fight to the end, and you develop them and get them better, and get a quarterback. You got to get a quarterback. We always had a Clint Sterner. You know, you had a Casey Dick. You had Matt Jones. You had somebody that's different. Bill Montgomery, you had him here. Joe Ferguson, Freddie Marshall. You had those guys. I remember John Brittenham, you know. So you got to have those guys. But to me, it can be done. It's not easy. It's been done. But now's the time, though, where it's going to be hard because you're going to have some decommitments. That's okay. We want the ones that want to come. And so your coaches got to work harder. You know, it's the Bill Shimmick attitude. You know, he had to stay in Hooks, Texas for days after days after days to get Billy Sims to come to Oklahoma. So it's that attitude of recruiting and keeping everything together when it's difficult.
You know, you saw that clip where I did want to mention that real quick. The clip where you said there's only one Razorback. You got a lot of Tigers and Bears, and that was your first game. And talk about that, what that was.
Well, I got chills, you know, when I see that video that Sully put together. I appreciate him doing that because that was the first locker room. And, you know, I grew up, of course, watching Coach Frank Broyles. And that locker room, it was amazing. We're right there in that little indoor.
Right.
And they're going to raise it up. Right. And so I time it up. It's 5 minutes before the captains go. And so all of a sudden, I hear in the background, you know, it wasn't planned. All of a sudden, ooh, pig. And I started getting these goosebumps and these chills. Like when I was 7, 8 years old, it started popping up on my neck. If you look close, it was there. And it started popping up. Ooh, pigs. And I asked, do you hear that? Do you hear that? It's 50-something thousand calling the hogs for you. The least you can do is come go 100 miles an hour, man. Don't worry about making a mistake. We're fixing to run through this wall. Come on. They calling them hogs. You know, it's a special deal.
You know, you also told me, this was something that I was unaware of, that how many of you know that the Razorbacks have a fight song? Hit that line, keep on going. And all of us who played, I don't know if they do it now, but the fight song's been around 100 years. And so I know this is something that sort of means a lot to you. It's something that as a freshman we came and we had to learn it. I still know it to this day. Hey, Lou Holtz made sure I knew that song, David Basil, or you're not getting on that football field.
That's right. That's good, man.
If you can, Matt, will you put up? Let's go back. Do you have the line by line, or do you just have the full thing? Okay, here we go. So let's break this down.
Okay, Lou Holtz. I was a grad assistant for Lou Holtz and Kenny Hatfield. And I was, one of my responsibilities as a grad assistant is teach the freshmen the fight song. And so I had to study this thing. I had to study it. And so here it is. You're my freshman. I'm teaching you the fight song. Hit that line, hit that line. You know what that means? That means we got to have a tough offensive lineman. We got to have tough defensive line. It starts in the trenches. It takes a man to start in the trenches. That's the backbone of your team. Hit that line, hit that line.
Keep on going.
Come on, give it up. Keep on going. Go to the next one.
Go to the next
keep on
one.
going. We know to keep on going. Move the ball right down the field stands for an offense that takes 11 people. You got to take care of the most precious thing you have. You have to take care of the ball. That means we don't have offsides penalties. That means we snap it to us. We throw it to us. We end with a kick, hopefully a PAT kick. But we take care of the ball, and we have 11 people. 7 people can't get it done. You have to do your job. I'm holding you accountable. 11 people. Move the ball right down the field. All next. Right. Give it cheer, rah, rah. That's you. We got to give our fans something to cheer about. That means you play hard. You move the ball right down the field. You hit that line. You hit that line. Give a cheer, rah, rah. Never fear. Never fear for nothing. Rah, rah. Next one. Next one. Never, oh, here it is. You'll never yield. That was one of the, Arkansas will never yield. If you look at the definition of yield, to give way, never give way. To let somebody merge in front of you, never let somebody merge in front of you. Never. Never. You never yield. You're an Arkansas Razorback, and that last white line, they don't cross it. You never yield. Next. On your toes, Razorbacks will finish. Hey, be on your toes. Be on your toes. Everybody on toes. You have an awesome responsibility. You're playing for one another. It's not about you. This isn't tennis. This isn't golf. It's football. Get on your toes and finish. Come on. Next one. Carry on with all your might. This comes from what's inside. Carry on with all your might. It's what's inside of you. That's why you're here. It's not a right to be a Razorback. It's a privilege. It's inside. You got to reach down. Hard reach down. Carry on. And for it's AAA. I'm from Arkansas. You're from Arkansas. I don't care if you're from Eudora, Fordyce. I don't care if you're from Jonesboro, from Fort Smith, or if you're from Dallas, Texas, or from Mississippi. When you're on that team, it is AARKANSAS. It's Arkansas.
Last but not least.
Last but not least. And this is what it's about. You can't get on the bus. You can't get on this plane unless you're going to fight. Fight, fight. You got to fight, fight, fight. When we took the wood, you always hear about Darren McFadden? We took that wood. Well, that Thursday night, before that Thursday night meeting, I asked Dean Weber to go get a bat. I saw a bat in Norm DeBrine's office. I saw this bat. I said, hey, there's a bat, a little small bat in Norm DeBrine's office, Dean. He said, what about it? I want everybody to have a bat on my Thursday night meeting. What are you going to do with a baseball bat, Coach? I want to send a message. And after that Thursday night meeting, it's just me and the team. I opened that door and I said, guys, before we leave, everybody take this baseball bat. But don't take this baseball bat now unless you're going to bring the wood. We're going to Baton Rouge and nobody gives us a chance. Nobody thinks we can beat the mighty Tigers. But if you bring this wood like I know you can, we'll beat them. Bring the wood.
I think we got that clip. This is one of my favorite clips of Coach Nutt after that unbelievable upset triple overtime win over what was then #1 LSU. And Coach was being interviewed when one of your players that we all recognize came up behind you. Matt, do you have that?
Coach, you come into Baton Rouge and you knock off the #1 team in the country. How did you do it tonight?
I don't know. I tell you what, I know this. Got a lot of guys with some big hearts. All I know is for 3 hours. For 3 hours or however long, maybe 4 hours, we're the best team in the country today. And it's offense, defense, and special teams. It's some guys like Darren McFadden, baby. I love you. What an effort. Y'all better put him in the Heisman. You better put him up there. I'm tired of him being number 4.
We got that wood right here, baby.
Somebody better look at him. He's the best football player in the country. And his name's not being mentioned. Lou Holtz, Mark May. Number 5, you better look at him a little closer. He's a football player.
Got that wood right here.
Hey, Matt, real quick. Go back to the beginning of that. I want you to listen after Coach Nutt, after McFadden comes back out there, you make a point to say something to somebody. Matt, can you hit that one more time? Listen to after Derek McFadden said, "We got that wood," if you can, one more time.
Coach, you come into Baton Rouge and you knock off the number 1 team in the country. How did you do it tonight?
I don't know. I tell you what, I know this. Got a lot of guys with some big hearts. All I know is for 3 hours. For 3 hours or however long, maybe 4 hours, we're the best team in the country today. And it's offense, defense, and special teams. It's some guys like Darren McFadden, baby. I love you. What an effort. Y'all better put him in the Heisman. You better put him up there. I'm tired of him being number 4.
We got that wood right here, baby.
Somebody better look at this guy. He's the best football player in the country. And his name's not being mentioned. Lou Holtz, Mark May. Number 5, you better look at him a little closer. He's a football player.
So back then you remember Lou Holtz and Mark May were doing the nighttime, and I guess you didn't think that they were getting enough. He was getting enough attention.
Every time I'd get home late at night on a Saturday night, I'd see their top 5 picks. Mark May, part 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No Darren McFadden. Lou Holtz, 1, 2, 3, 4. No Darren McFadden. Now Coach Holtz, he listened a little bit. He moved him up there. Mark May, I think he's still mad at me.
So I know, Coach, you have every coach has a different style. You know, we've had Urban Meyer, Coach Snyder, Coach Richt. I mean, we've had a variety of different coaches, but Coach Petrino. So there's a little thing you were talking about. How do you relate to your coaches? What is this thing you do? You give me an example of that?
Yeah. I tell you, I want you to be a player.
Okay, I'm the player.
Yeah, sit down right there. Sit down right there. A lot of times, to me, it's about relationships, and a lot of times I get called like the player's coach, which I don't really buy into that too much. But again, it's about relationships. So, okay, David, hey, I hear your dad and mom live here today. That's good. You're from Panama, Florida?
Yes.
Great. Okay, get over here in this chair.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now this is the player. I'm fixing to coach you hard. If I tell you to run through that line, you run through that line.
That's right.
Full speed.
Yes, sir.
Hey, have you gained weight?
Yes.
Listen. Okay, get back over here. Get back over here. Are you? I heard you caught a big fish in Panama.
Yes, I did, Coach.
How many pounds was that?
12 pounds.
That's all. Get back over here.
Yes, sir.
Your teammates are counting on you in the A gap. There was 72 plays, and you went hard for about 67.
Not good.
There's 5 plays that will make a difference in the game, and you took a lazy step on 4 of those. I can't have it. Get back over here. Are we going to go to Dairy Queen?
No, whatever you say, Coach. Whatever you say. No, Coach.
That's bottom line.
So what you're saying is that there's what? There you go. No fat jokes. Back off.
I didn't mean to.
No, you're
not
true.
overweight.
I am. That's okay. So what you're just saying there is just about pushing the right buttons for your players.
I just think they don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And you gotta go to their dorm. You know, when I played, we all lived under one dorm room, one roof. You know, nowadays they live in a condo, they live in apartments. You know, Butu may lived in a guy with 3 or 4 guys, and sometimes you don't know who's living next to him that may be saying some wrong things to him. So you want to have that, to me, that connection, and to me that's what it's about, especially with your seniors. The one thing about the '98 group, you know, Coach Ford and them done a good job bringing in good players, but they had very little success. And I thought it was a lot of individuals. But with Grant Garrett's group, man, you could run them forever. And they were so tough. And they just had a little bit of disconnect where it was individual and just didn't finish things. And I tell you, it didn't take them long where they became one.
Well, you know, everybody knows the story of Houston Nutt. You were recruited, obviously, the last signing by Frank Broyles. Everybody wanted you to go to school. Coaching changed. Lou Holtz is there. You play for Lou. You play for Frank. You play for Eddie Sutton. Go to Oklahoma State. After that, what was the key? When did you know that you wanted to be a coach of young men?
Well, I always thought I was going to be in the NBA or NFL since I was 9 years of age, right, Dennis? I always told them that anyway. I'm going to be in the NBA or NFL. And I really basically had one tryout in NFL. after knee surgery. I was already a slow quarterback. Bill always says that's why he didn't recruit me, because I was slow. But anyway, I got back, and I remember Jimmy Johnson just getting there in Stillwater, came back to Stillwater. He just got through on a jog. If y'all know Jimmy Johnson, now picture this. This man just got on did a little 2-mile jog, and not one hair out of place, not one. And he says, Houston, I heard it didn't go too good. What are you going to do? I was going to give him a good answer. I'm going to keep working out, keep training, because I know I'm supposed to be in the NFL or NBA or both. He said, okay, well, listen, until that time comes, you get in Ivor Hall. You're going to be my freshman coach. And I said, yes, sir. But underneath my breath, I said, who does he think he is going to hand me this $1.65 an hour grad assistant job? And remember, a grad assistant, I'm the one that goes and gets the ice. I mow his lawn. I pick up his children. And then I go splice film for 15 hours. And so I wasn't really too high on it. But the very first night in Ivor Hall, I had 7 little freshmen coming in my little room on the edge of my bed. Coach Nutt. It was the first time I was called Coach Nutt. I looked around. Oh, that's me. Coach Nutt. Yeah. What's Jimmy Johnson going to do to us tomorrow? And they were all eyes. And for the first time, I knew that I had those 7 freshmen. They were listening to every word I said. I said, he's going to run you 16 110s, and you got to do it with a time. And they're just hanging on every word you say. And so from that moment on, David, I said, you know what? I'm supposed to be a coach.
So you end up, fast forward, we go to you, you're at Arkansas, and you have the Jack Crow, Joe Kynes, Danny Ford situation, and you're on staff while all that's happening.
Yep.
Share the story, what happened when Danny Ford was promoted and what he said to you.
Danny Ford, was really tough. I didn't know Danny Ford. Danny Ford was hired by Joe Kynes as a consultant, so I'm in there at the end of the year. He's just been named head coach. And basically he says, Houston, you're on a trial basis. I said, I am? Yeah. And he sees a picture of my family. He says, who's that? I said, that's my family. Okay, well, listen, I don't really care about them right now. It's recruiting. Can you recruit? I said, well, Coach, I can recruit better than anybody down this hallway. And he looked at me hard. Prove it. Yes, sir, I will. So we go get into recruiting, and then about 2 weeks later, I luck out, and I say lucky, I got a call from Murray State. Scott Edgar was over there as a basketball coach. They had one guy drop out. I had one of 5 guys to interview. So I go and tell Coach Ford, I said, Coach Ford, I'd like to interview at Murray State. Murray State? Where's that? I said, it's Western Kentucky. You better make sure you get that job. Whoa. So I go to Coach Broyles. I was a little nervous about that. I got 4 children. I go to Coach Broyles. I said, Coach Broyles, you think I should go interview? Houston, that would be an ideal thing to do. It would be great experience, even if you don't get it. I said, well, Coach Ford don't think that. Coach Ford is trying to get his staff together and put pressure on everybody, making sure everybody's doing their job. It's okay. I said, are you sure? He basically said, I might not have a job when I come back. It'll be okay. I'll talk to him. Don't worry about it. So that's how it goes.
So you go interview, you get the job at Murray State, you don't have to come back.
I went over and got the job. And then a lot of my friends said, wait a minute, you spent all your life trying to get to Arkansas Razorbacks as a sister. Why would you go to Murray State and take a pay cut? There's a thing to do.
And you go to Murray State, you go you win 4 or 5 games the first 2 games, first 2 years. But you recruit a lot of players from Arkansas.
Oh my goodness.
That not only played college ball, that went on to play in the pros. Reggie Swinton, William Hampton Jr., Elliott Dunn, Little Rock Mills. Coach Parks is here. Quarterback. Who was the quarterback of that Murray State team?
Mike Cherry.
Those are guys you recruited from Arkansas to go to Murray State.
And they all went.
And you win 11 games back to back.
Back to back. We still have a lot of records, but the only team that's ever won a playoff. And that's when Boise State called. They were transitioning from 1AA to Division I.
So you had one job. You had 1 year at Boise. And then all of a sudden the job opened up at Arkansas.
4 years at Murray helped me because of this. It's always hard for an assistant to go to the head job. But 4 years without the pressure of the media and everybody on top of you, always, because they have a tendency to point out your mistakes. So this was a good time, a good learning experience.
So what do you remember about the process? I remember, there were people that wanted Tommy Tuberville and some people wanted you. And what do you remember about that whole process?
It was about 14 candidates. And Coach Broyles said, come over and interview. I was excited. And but there was a lot of competition. Tommy Tuberville, Francione, Gary Patterson. There's a lot of coaches that were involved that wanted the job. But I don't think anybody really wanted it more than I did. And try to convey that. But the problem was I was one of the first interviews, so I had to go back to Boise State. And then Gene Blameyer, the AD there, and I don't blame him, was like, hey, can't wait all day for you now. What's going on? Because you're hurting recruiting.
Right. I'll never forget the night that you, I think I called you and you go, you just said 2 words. It's 3 words. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And you flew in at about 12 o'clock that night.
Jim Lindsay.
How cool is that? This is you grew up being a ball boy in the end zone to be announced. Frank Broyles hires you to be the head coach. What was that like?
It was just it was awesome. Dream come true. Place you always wanted to come back. You played there. You coached there as an assistant, and then to come back and to be able to think. All I could think about was where my cousins and I was in Little Rock coming down that ramp. I'm gonna be able to lead that team out in Little Rock. Love playing in Little Rock. And then, again, Fayetteville, too. So it was just, it was a special time. Jim Lindsay flew a plane out, and he was on the committee. And there was a lot of them that really wanted Tommy as well. So I think Jim had a lot to do with it. I think he really pushed it over to my side, and I really appreciate him.
Had 2 negative years, last 2 years of Danny Ford, I think 4-7, 4-7. You come in with a team that was beat down. His style was sort of a hard, old school, chew you out, wear you. You take the same players, and it's a magical run in '98.
It's good as it gets. And I tell you, you think about it so much, Grant, and I look at Grant, Russ Brown, Chad Abernathy, Bobby Williams, Brandon Burlsworth. They were so solid. Madre Hill, Clint Sterner, Anthony Lucas. These guys would do anything. And they're just such good people, man. You can see how successful they are. But, man, they would lay it on the line. They were fighters, boy. They were fighters.
And I'll never forget, Tommy and I always talk about this on the show, is that that first run, obviously we remember the Tennessee game, but what the game I remember is how bad you guys beat Alabama.
Yeah.
That first, I mean, you had to be looking around going, my first year here, I beat the pants off Alabama.
You know, the first year I was scared to death. I was that scared young coach, and I'm thinking Bear Bryant, Alabama, Sean Alexander's coming to town, and I don't want to embarrass the state of Arkansas. And I'm sleepless nights, Dinah's saying, man, you didn't sleep at all last night. You tossed and turned. I said, we're playing Alabama, in case you didn't know. We're playing Alabama. Playing Crimson Tide. They're coming to town. They're coming to Fayetteville. It's not Rice. No offense against Rice, but we're playing Alabama. And so they come to town, and I'll tell you what, it's a great feeling. Ryan Hale and Zach Painter and Kenoy Kenny, David Barrett just set the tone. And then offensively, but we took care of the ball and just really, I mean, it was 42-6. We made them stop. It was fun. Yeah.
You're talking about all these guys you've mentioned. I don't know if you picked up on, not all of them, a ton of them, as you mentioned earlier, are Arkansas kids.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people say, Arkansas shouldn't be in the SEC. They should be in the Big 12. We don't have the recruiting base. If you look back, I don't know how many number 1 draft choices you had, but you had some that were McFadden-like type that we knew, but you also had some that were 2-star or 1-star like a Brandon Burlsworth or a Jamal Anderson. Talk about that. There were kids that you could develop kids into great players.
Well, that's why I think you can't ever overlook Arkansas. You really can't. And again, don't get hung up on, well, he's not a 4-star. Don't worry about that. What's right here? And if they can run into, I love going to watch play basketball. Sean Andrews was a good basketball player. Jason Peters, good basketball player. They had nimble feet. And so it's about that. Sam Alajabutu was a wrestling champion. It's things like that. You go watch and you study them. And then Arkansas, as you mentioned, there's so many years you look at the backbone of the team, especially in the offensive line, Arkansas kids.
What about assistant coaches? Obviously we have the Broyles Award right here, and Coach Broyles knew about the importance of assistant coaches. I think a lot of us look back where Bielema started having trouble when he lost Sam Pittman, who was such a good recruiter in recruiting those offensive linemen. What about when your assistant coaches? How important, and obviously not commenting on Chad's staff, but the importance of the assistant coaches, how key they are for your staff?
Well, it's everything. It's a team. It's a team. You got to have good coaches that know how to teach, know how to demand, know how to hold everybody accountable. But they got to be good recruiters. They got to do a lot of things. It's just not one thing. And the thing that's different now is we're back in when I just got first started in the 80s, it was, okay, this is football season. This is recruiting season. Well, now recruiting is 24/7. You got media, you got blogs, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got all these things that constantly, so you got to have great coaches and they got to stay on top of everything.
You're doing a great job for CBS Sports. I want to ask you a couple things that coaches are having to deal with now that you didn't have to deal with. The transfer portal.
Yeah.
What do you think about the portal?
I don't really like it, but it is what it is. So you better have a coach assigned to the transfer portal.
Coach assigned to the
you better
transfer.
have somebody, because hey, there might be somebody over there we want.
That's
all right.
Right.
But I don't mind if a player doesn't play after a year. Fine. What I don't like is they stay there a semester and I'm gonna quit. It's easy to quit. Now stay here for at least a year and go through spring. Give it a chance. Then if it doesn't work out, I've helped a lot of young men go to another school.
Right.
If you look at a lot of guys, hey, look, it's not working out. He wants to go play. I get it. But the transfer portal to me it's kind of a two-way deal now that I don't really like all of it.
What about a lot of coaches are making $5-10 million a year. You got programs that have multi-million-dollar facilities, and the players again feel like they should get paid or some. So what's your thought on players being able to go out and have agents to market their likeness? What do you think about that?
I'm glad you brought that up. I remember in 1976 as a freshman, Ken Turner, he was my recruiting coach, and he said, you're going to be able to get a $7.25, what we call a laundry check. I was excited because I got a chance to use a couple of dollars for gas. I buy a hamburger, and it was great. But now you're telling me they're going to be able to use their likeness, and so it would be a great time for me. If I was a high school senior, I'd love to be a college freshman. Why? Okay, I get all I want to eat. I get tuition fees paid for. I get weight room training. I get tutors if I need it. I get cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is
which is new. Yeah.
That's over $5,000 in cash I get. If I'm eligible for a Pell Grant, which I don't have to pay back, I'm eligible for that. Then if I get to the championship games, my parents fly the game. It's a pretty good deal. So now we're going to say, well, let's pay for his likeness. You coaches, y'all are making too much money. Let's pay for his likeness. So that'd be like, okay, Darren McFadden, you're going to get to go to a dealership, sign some autographs, and we'll pay you $75,000. Now Felix Jones is going to say, now coach, he got 75. Can I go to Landers and maybe do a little deal and let me at least get 50? I can see that being a terrible problem in a locker room. I'm all for them getting money. I want them to have money to go hamburger, go to a movie, buy toothpaste, mouthwash, all of that. But to say, okay, now let's go hire an agent? No, I'm going to hire an agent, and now we're going to get into all this? Let me tell you something. You're talking about NCAA can't manage now? There's no way. No way.
All right, so you got Alabama. You got Alabama this week. You're a 33-point underdog. That's without Tua.
Mm-hmm.
You would be a 45-point underdog if Tua was playing. What does Houston Nutt tell his team in the locker room? Nobody gives you a chance. Mm-hmm. You just got beat 51-10 by Auburn. What do you say in the locker room?
First thing I say, shut that door. Just us. Nobody else. No media. Just us. Grant, Sam, Sasha, come on in here. We're a 45-point underdog. Tua Tagovailoa is not playing. Tua Tagovailoa, he's responsible for about 54% of touchdown passes. He throws it everywhere. He's not playing. We're going to see how good this other quarterback is. We're fixing to hit this other one. We're fixing to see if he can throw on time. He better throw with a sense of urgency. I know we're going to Alabama. I know it's got new lights down there, the LED light show. I know it's 100,000 plus. They can only put 11 out there. Hey, look, I can live with whatever happens as long as I know that you're going 100 miles an hour and you're playing for a Razorback. You're playing for each other. I don't care what happens. We can go shock the world. It can happen. That's what I'd tell them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Houston Nutt, everybody. Thanks for being here, Houston. Great job.
Great.
Great job. Pictures right here. All right, we need sponsors and 50-yard line members get pictures first. Wait till that's done. Let's put that back over there. Just I'd go that.
Hey, Brian, good to see you, man. Great, buddy. Damn, I done run through that damn monkey. Putting me in, man. You did great. Good to see you, buddy. I'll talk to you. I will. He's out of town, but I'll tell you. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, it was good.
All right. 50-yard line, sponsors first. Yeah, come on up here. Yeah, you want to do your thing over there? Yeah. The young man, the player of the week.
That's wild. Yeah. I thought you'd like to see that. Appreciate that. That's from a long time ago. I will. Hey, you feeling better?